Good evening, welcome to my new channel, Grumpy Brit in the Philippines. Well, what can I say? This last week, since the tragic incident involving an American guy, a 26-year-old, and in the Mindanao area, it appears that he was kidnapped by, allegedly, 4 men in black or dark outfits, supposedly presenting themselves as possibly policemen, only to discover that in his attempt to get away that he was either accidentally or purposely shot in the leg. Now, of course, the information that I have is the same as anybody else has got, and that is from the news media here in the Philippines. And we have to be very mindful that when we report something that is of interest to foreigners, that we don't overhype the situation. And I hope you don't think I'm doing that here now. What I am concerned is that many of the channels have their theories, their ideas as to why or how such a thing could happen. What we all have to remember is that as foreigners, we tend to stick out like sore thumbs. And with a country with such abject poverty around many a corner, you also have to remember that that becomes an issue. The issue being that they, the Filipino, see us as wealthy fat cats. And as you well know, not all of us are. Just because you might get a couple of $1,000 per month as a pension does not make you a millionaire. And that's where the problem lies. Every time there is a local or a national election, there are certain groups of people that will take advantage of an opportunity to raise funds. And it's been suggested that that may be the reason for why this is happening. One particular English guy has actually suggested that the local police, and I'm not saying that they haven't, they've suggested that he leaves the area and goes to the city. So what does he do? He goes and puts a video out showing you this. Well, of course, that's fine under normal circumstances. But to somehow weave it into a storyline that really needs to be handled very delicately, because these are not guys playing games. People don't shoot people unless they're pretty desperate. And we're just assuming that from news reports, there are a certain group of people. What a lot of them have obviously got in their mind is that a foreigner is an easy target. It doesn't take much to suss out and watch what they're doing. There's also the other aspect that he's married to a local who, in that particular area, a lot of them are Muslim. Now, this evening I watched a video, a very short one, by Tim Kay, who many people have different views about Tim Kay, but Tim Kay has got probably one of the biggest channels here in the Philippines. And I'm a bit surprised that he actually decided to do almost an analysis of this guy. Now, at this particular moment in time, I believe that we should be thinking of his wife, his son or his child, and his family, her family. Because anybody involved in a situation like that must be panicking, must be distraught at what could possibly happen. One hopes that if they did shoot him in the leg, that he's been able to get reasonable health, not health, but medical help. Because something like that you have to deal with straight away. Now, all we have is a report from many of the newspapers that really report the same thing. That was last seen in a boat speeding off out to sea. We should let the Philippine government, the authorities, police, the army, the people whose job it is to try and resolve the issue. Let them do their job and don't hinder them. But what we must also remember, and in a way, Tim Kay raised a number of issues that have merit, and that is that you have to, if you're going to plonk yourself down in an area that is a known at-risk area, even if you're a young person, to be that bold as to allegedly go out lending money and talking about the cost of doing things to his home, when the average person in that area is poorer than most people in all parts of the Philippines. It's one of the most deprived areas of the Philippines. Now, you and I might know what a couple of $1,000s is, but like Tim said, it's a year's salary to some of the people, especially the fishermen who make their living really fishing for fish for their family and selling what's left to the community. And I think we have to be careful because there are many reasons why we talk about these things. I hope that those that do feel a need to pass on that information really get the message over that you have to be very careful where you live. And secondly, you have to blend in with the community. You don't need to stand out like a flashing light. You've got to be a chameleon. You've got to just live your life out without being too like a flash Harry. It doesn't matter what age you are. You know, I mean, just building a big house in a poor area highlights the fact that you've got money. You might have the flashiest house in the street. It's pretty hard to hide it once it's built. The same way as your desire to have the latest model Toyota four-wheel drive is parked in your driveway all the time, and fancy scooters. All these things add to the opportunity for people to think maybe you're worth robbing. Because generally speaking, the Philippines is probably one of the safest places that I've ever lived. I've never felt unsafe. Here in Luzon, we're not exempt from incidents that involve guns, that involve taking someone's life, especially around the time of elections here. It's a time where, if you can avoid it, it's not a good place to hang around municipal buildings or where you know there's going to be gatherings of officials, because often these are times of unrest. So my message to you all is that if you're going to come and live in the Philippines, you're going to have to understand some of these fairly fundamental issues and get them on board here, because you don't want to risk any harm coming to your family, or worst of all, any of your partner's family, or even yourself. So just be careful, and maybe be a bit more responsible when you do a video blog about an unfortunate situation. And we can only hope and pray that the family get him back safe and sound soon. That's my first proper video as a grumpy Brit in the Philippines. And thank you so much for all of your subscribers. Some of them are new, I think, and I appreciate you coming over here. Don't forget, you're still going to get me and my ugly mush on a British expat on the other channel every day, until such time as I feel the need to tone down the other channel and maybe pass it over for a chance for the family to start using the channel, which will be interesting anyway. So have a lovely day, have a good night's sleep, and I'll catch you again later. Bye now.